All right, hello. My name's Jason. I use he, him pronouns. We are here to play the Sprawl, a game from Auden's Ludaire by Hamish Cameron. It is a PBTA cyberpunk game. This is session 1 of 5 of a scenario I am calling Before the Blackout, somewhat based in a Blade Runner universe. The characters in this game will play professionals, operatives that are looking to make a buck and survive in this harsh, grim world. We are going to create those characters here in a moment, but first let's meet our players. Let's go around the table and just introduce yourselves with your pronouns. And that's all we need for now. Philip, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Philip. I use he, him pronouns, and I've played with the Gauntlet for about 2 years.
And Puckett.
Hi, I'm Puckett, he, him pronouns. I think I'm coming up on 1.5 years with the Gauntlet.
And Bethany.
Yep. Hi, I'm Bethany. They, them pronouns, and yeah, a little over 2 years here.
Okay, so offline we had a pretty lengthy conversation about safety. Hopefully, if you're viewing this in the far future, the world has righted itself and everything's cool. But unfortunately, at the time that we're playing this game, there's a lot of bad stuff happening. And a lot of people are upset, and we're trying to avoid making that any worse. So we have set up some safety tools and some lines and veils to help protect us from getting too stressed out playing this game and help us to have a good time. So first of all, we're using the X card. If anybody feels uncomfortable about anything, throw that up there. Probably visually, putting it on the screen is the best way for me to see it. In addition, we're using lines and veils. Let me see what we got. All we got is a veil on replicants. So you ask yourself, we're playing a Blade Runner universe. We don't have replicants. Replicants are problematic, and especially right now. And we've decided that it's best to just have them behind a veil. So they may exist in our universe. People may refer to them or talk about them, but they're not going to be a key part of our story. And we're going to go in a different direction in this world and have a good time that way. That's all I got for introduction. So we are going to start to play this game. So when you play the Sprawl, the first thing you do, there's a 9-step process that we're going to go through. There is a handout on Roll20 called Session 0. It's right at the bottom of your list. Open that up, and there we will go through these steps and create our world and our characters. As it is a cyberpunk game, when I say create our world, what I really mean is we're going to create our corporations. And what we will do is that each player, including me, will define a corporation that will be in our game. And these corporations are massive mega corporations. There's Zaibatsus. They have their fingers in all kinds of different industries and services. They each, in any particular setting or mission, they may be involved. Any one of them could be involved pretty much. However, when you define your corporation, do give them their specialty, a few industries that they especially focus on. I have already, built one for our game. I am using the Tyrell Corporation. And if we go to the setting folder, corporations and threats, I have put in some information on the Tyrell Corporation. The Tyrell Corporation is the corporation that is, at the center of the Blade Runner story, the original movie, and their focus is replicants, body mods, and cyber gear. And I think to start with, that's really kind of all we really need. So as we go around the table, give your corporation a name. They're a couple of the industries that they focus on, and any other detail that comes to mind, we can throw that in there too. And we'll scribble that down on our handout. So I'm going to keep picking on Phil. He was the first to log in, so he's the first to answer all these questions for us. Phil, tell us about a corporation.
Sure. It's the Epoch Corporation, EPOCH.
Okay.
And they do cutting-edge medical research and food production.
Okay. Epoch. What was their full name again? Epoch.
The Epoch Corporation.
Just Epoch Corporation. All right. And their focuses again.
Cutting edge medical research.
Okay.
And food production.
So there's probably a lot of geneticists under their employ, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're touching on something which is big in Blade Runner, which is that, the climate has collapsed or nearly collapsed. And the only way to provide food is to create all kinds of genetically modified foodstuffs, to the extent that in the second movie, in the sequel in 2049, which is quite a few years down the road from where we're playing, protein is these massive protein farms. They're growing these grubs. Okay, that sounds good. And we will learn more detail about them as we play. Let's go to Puckett. Tell us about our next corporation.
All right, I was just typing it into the Roll20 chat. It is Class Reinhardt GmbH.
Okay.
And it specializes in cyberware, particularly really delicate cyberware like optics, neural overlays, basically anything that interfaces with the nervous system and requires really precision engineering to make sure that it doesn't really horribly backfire on the person having the cyberware installed.
Okay. So I got precision cyberware, especially optics. Did I miss
anything that basically taps into the nervous system?
Okay. And
so
nervous
CNS, and requires precision engineering. They usually have a very delicate finger in it.
Do they have some secret labs working on like AI maybe? Cyborgs,
but those would be secret labs, wouldn't they?
Sure.
The public face is very much, we're making your life better. You can see things better. You can feel things better. Here's how you can interface with the machinery that you use, that you need to make your life better. Here's how you integrate your calendaring so that it pops up with a HUD in your artificial eye.
Okay, so I got their slogan, making your life better.
Yeah, think Google Glass gone even more wrong than it did before it got canned.
Okay.
But
what's GmbH mean, if anything?
Actually, it stands for Gesellschaft mit beschränkter Haftung, company with limited liability. It's a German.
Okay. So is this company originate in Germany, maybe?
Yes.
Or the greater European, whatever it is now.
It started in Germany. It probably stemmed out of making telescopes and binoculars and other optics glass in the 40s and 30s of the 20th century, and 1930, 1940, and just kept growing. Got into contact lenses, got into eyeglasses. Started getting into more permanent wear contact lenses. And the next thing you know, it's not that far from that to making artificial eyes and cybernetic implants once you have the tech for it.
Okay. And Bethany, tell us our last corporation for today.
Damn it, I had a name and it slipped my mind. Okay, fine. I'll look at a different one real quick here. I had such a good one.
You can go backwards if you can tell us about it, and then maybe that'll jog your memory.
Yeah, sure. It started out as a chain of convenience stores. That's still what it's known for, as running these convenience stores that are like very, very focused on, the hustle. Like, you can't stop to do anything. You're so busy. Here, inhale this tube of food and you're good. So that's, they're probably involved in a lot of other things, but it's, basically like you combine a Sheetz and a Starbucks and a McDonald's and like all of your little corner things that, that have names like Quickway, which, actually that's a perfectly good name for this. And then you just let it spread and spread until it's a monopoly and it owns all of the weird little convenience stores until they're not weird at all, until they're all like look exactly identical.
So they're sort of ubiquitous, that you find them all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And are they automated, or do they have like little clerks that work at them?
I think they are mostly automated. Some of them will maybe have a person, but only if they've like had some kind of trouble. If their automated systems have gone wrong once in a while, yes, exactly. There might be somebody there kind of supervising and making sure, but they're mostly just technicians working on the equipment.
Right. So you probably just like go up and put your money or your code name or your whatever you use, flash your phone or whatever, and it pops out, kind of what you're looking for. Or does it make it right there for you? Like if you're like, I want, a tube of protein shake, what would it do, you think?
I think it would make it there because, that's better than having everything on hand. Like if you have the raw ingredients, you can make a lot more things in a lot smaller space.
Can you get like overalls there or like a gun? I mean,
you can definitely get a gun there.
You can get a gun? Okay.
You can get guns and pornography there because it's the future.
Sure. Okay.
But mostly it's like food, fuel, things like batteries, just like, stuff that you need to go to the store for because you run out. I don't think it's anything major. Like it's all just, yes, you could get a first aid kit there, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure that will come into play at some point. All right. And I got it down as Quickway. Is that what you want to go with?
Yeah, Quickway sounds good.
Okay. And you can change it if you want to, of course. Is it Quick like Quik, or does it have a C in there?
It's
or is it Kyik or something? I'll leave it to you. You can edit it however you want to spell
it.
That's
I could just put it in there. Same.
Okay. So I think that's step one for us. Now, step one is choose a playbook. We've already done that. Philip, you're going to be the infiltrator. Puckett, you're going to be the fixer. And Bethany, you're going to be the driver. Did I got that right? Okay. So step one, complete. Step two, name and describe your character. And if you're not ready for this step, you can come back to it later. So name and character and their look, you can come back to that. The playbooks are all, you can get them in two places. In the Google Drive, I sent you a file that has all the playbooks in sort of the classic format. You can certainly go there and look at your playbook and transpose that information into Roll20, or on Roll20, one of the handouts under moves, I think. Yeah, under moves is playbook moves, and it has all the moves for each of the playbooks. You'll have to scroll around to find yours. Probably you're going to have to do a little bit of both anyways. It might be easier to cut and paste from here in Roll20, but you're going to need, for figuring out, stats and equipment and all that stuff, you're going to have to look at the playbooks out of the Google Drive. Does everybody know the two files that I'm talking about? Is everybody familiar? So this is the time. I think the name and character, the look stuff is in there. If you're someone that, like I said, mostly we're going to be using the picture you get as your look. You know, the reality is that that's pretty much, in my mind, I'm going to be picturing you as the picture you end up with. So you might not want to worry about too much about look. Save that for when you're looking for a picture on the internet. But you can fill in that if you want on the Roll20 character sheet. Where am I at? Session 0. Session 2, name and describe your character. Step 3, assign your stats. Your stats, you get an array of 1 plus 2, 2 plus 1s, 2 zeros, and 1 minus 1. And the stats, if you look at your character sheet, the stats are in the sort of yellow-orange color. Cool, edge, meat, mind, style, and synth. Each of them also underneath has the basic moves that are associated with those stats. Did I put in what the stats mean? I don't think I did. I can look that up. But basically, cool is staying cool in a tough situation. Edge is like noticing things mostly. Meat is fighting and surviving. Mind is intelligence, more or less. Style is talky stuff mostly and just looking cool. And synth is the only tricky one. Synth is, you usually don't use synth on any of the moves unless you have a special part of your playbook or move on your off your playbook that allows you to use synth instead of one of your other stats. So synth is usually one you don't bother with unless you're a character that's planning to have a lot of cyberware and really cool cyberware. And as you read your playbooks, you'll see that each of you, depending on the stuff you take, you might want to take some, you know, higher synth. But if you're not planning to have a lot of cyberware, it's a good candidate for your dump stat. So stats, that's how that works. Choosing your cyberware, we're going to come back to that. So certainly go ahead and choose yours right now, but we're going to come back and talk about your cyberware in a little bit. But let's go ahead and have you do all those other kind of basic PBTA steps. Stats, your look, choose your cyberware, choose your moves, choose your gear. Each of you will have certain stuff you'll start with, but then you'll have some choices of things. And then work your way through step 6, and then we'll jump back in and talk about cyberware. So when you feel like your character's done through those first steps, let me know.
Quick question.
Sure.
Do we have to take cyberware?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you have to take at least one. Let's see, you're the fixer.
I didn't know if that was. It says choose it, but it didn't. I wasn't sure if it was required, if it was mandatory, or if I could play a fixer who kind of dissociated from that kind of a Luddite way.
Yeah, you still have to take one.
Okay.
Maybe you don't let you, but what's going to happen is that that's a good choice, but maybe you don't like that you have it. Maybe you're forced to take it. You know, maybe a corporation, you know, made you get it, or you know, something happened that maybe you're not comfortable with it. But yeah, you're stuck with it now. Cyberware is it's a big flag for the game master to kind of give complications. So yeah, it's a necessary part of this thing.
Well, you can always choose at the end that, you know, for your cyberware, you scrimped and saved to buy it, and then give it like unreliable, you know, hardware decay, that sort of thing.
Right.
You know, where you can not have the complication of having an enemy for it, but you can still have it if you need it. Though it might be a little duct tape and baling wire.
Right. Yeah, so while you're doing that, some of you might not be to this point yet, but basically what you do with the cyberware is you choose the one you want, and then you have to ask a series of questions. The first one is, why did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics? And it gives you a list: prosthetic, forced, loyalty, enthusiasm, necessity, junkie, genetics, career, ideology, memory, or military. Then you say, how did you afford to have someone cut out part of your body and replace it with electronics? And you can choose, you script and save to buy it yourself, and then that cyberware will have some sort of weakness. Then you can say someone else paid for it, now you owe them, which means you're owned. That gives me a nice thing I can use to hold over your head as we play. Or you can say you fucked someone over to get it, you're hunted, which again gives me something nice to play with. So Philip, your character's name is Mac.
Yep.
You're an infiltrator. And if you could take, I see you have a picture, you have a URL, that's good. If you could copy and paste that onto the bio and info tab too, edit and put that on for your avatar, it'll just appear next to your character. And also that's where you can put your name in there too. So you put in Mac. You guys might even want to put like your actual name, you might Max parentheses Philip maybe. That'll help me learn who's who quickly. Let's see. Otherwise, Mac looks pretty good. Everybody starts with 5 cred. You have where you have your stealth suit +1 ongoing to stealth. That spot's not where you put that. Put that down under other equipment towards the bottom. It's on the right side next to weapons. Okay. That spot where you have it is, there's a special thing called intel and gear. It's a mechanic that we'll talk about, but that's not where you put your stealth suit. So you just move that down there. Your moves look good. You've got your cyberware. Synth You're a cat burglar, all right. And you've got your directives, good. You don't need to answer it yet, but just know that your second directives and network, we're going to have to figure out who that friend is, and we'll talk about them a little bit and flesh them out before we start. You've got your weapons, and you've got your stealth suit now. You look like you're ready to roll pretty much.
Sounds good.
I'm just going to kick this out, make sure it works. All right. Character 2, Bethany. It's coming along.
Yeah, I'm kind of working my way up from the bottom of the sheet here, I think.
Okay. You're the driver, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You never mind. Let me look something up. Driver. The driver, you have your vehicle. You'll have to define too. You probably saw that already.
Yeah.
Already. Um, and on your neural interface, the two tags you selected, multitasking and encrypted. What that encrypted probably is self-explanatory, but multitasking, what that means is that you can remote control multiple vehicles at a time. So you can do your vehicle, and if somewhere along the line you have a second one, you can have them both in action at the same time.
Excellent.
Your directives, similarly, you're rejected. We'll have to figure out who this friend is. And intimate also. But
I got them backwards.
Yeah, I thought the text didn't match the title, but actually they both say rejected. You're really rejected. I see you're in the middle. You're in the middle of copy and pasting. Never mind.
Yeah.
Been
rejected by everyone.
So you're gonna have a helicopter. So it's pretty cool. It's a workhorse. It's loud, nondescript. It has the frame you pick. Maybe you haven't got to it yet, but I think there's certain stats. I think that's the profile.
Yeah.
And you have
Well.
And I think if you pick a profile, if I remember correctly, if you pick a profile that has +2 power, you can get a weapon on your helicopter.
I did in fact pick that profile, so I'll do that.
Okay. Otherwise, looks like you're off to a good start. Let's see, Clive Harker, the fixer.
Quick question.
Sure.
Cybernetics. Does high speed have a mechanical effect?
I don't think so. It's more of a fictional positioning kind of thing.
Okay.
Certainly something, when you're in a situation where you need to, is yours data storage? Okay, yeah. So in a situation where you're like copying data and whatnot, you definitely probably remind me of that. And I might, in case of, there'd be a situation where maybe I wouldn't have you make a roll because you get it done so quickly, depends on the situation, whether that would have an impact. But no, I don't think it has a mechanical. I'll look it up, but I don't think so.
All right.
And the fixer, we'll do this after everybody's created their characters, but you have part of your hustling is you have a crew, and it looks like you took backup, so you have even more crew. You have a security detail also. So you've got, you're kind of like, you'll of course describe it for me how you visualize it, but you run a gang, a network of more or less criminals, right? And so they each, between missions, you have an opportunity to hustle, which allows you to potentially get more stuff. So we'll define those a little better when we get there. But otherwise, looks like you're off to a good start. In fact, you look like you're just about ready, probably.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Just trying to find the tag descriptions so I know what I'm looking at when I'm taking the backup.
Sure. Under moves and mechanics, handouts on Roll20, there is one called tags, and all the various tags are in there. You might have to scroll around to find them. Cyberware tags, then weapon tags, range tags. Should have most all of the tags we'll see in the game.
There's cyberware.
Which one is it you're curious about?
Well, okay. You actually said playbook moves, correct?
If you go moves and mechanics, there's a file called tags.
Right, hang on.
And that lists all the tags.
Yeah, that doesn't actually seem to have the ones I need for the crew.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
That's got weapons, cyberware, range.
Yeah.
And for the crew, I've got to pick.
You probably have to go to your playbook. Let me see. Fixer. Is it under hustling? Is that where you're looking?
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, it's under backup. Move.
Backup. All right. Backup. Move.
So if you look at it, it starts off with a gang of 5 to 10 hired thugs,
Right.
plus small, plus employees. And then if you look at it, they're well armored, for example, plus obvious, plus disciplined for ex-military,
Right.
plus loyal for more than muscle.
So plus small means it's a small gang, which has it has a mechanical impact.
Right.
Plus employees means that they're not terribly loyal, but it doesn't have a mechanical impact. It just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So that's why I was looking at plus disciplined, etc.
Right. Those all are more just fictional positioning. If you picked, the one armor, that means their armor is obvious. So like if you're in a situation where you don't want your gang to be obviously armored, this is not the one you want to select.
Right.
Discipline means that, they would be tactically disciplined. It sounds like ex-military. So you could expect them to be competent in a tactical situation. Then there's one that says plus loyal. That would replace the plus employees with plus loyal. They're more loyal to you than just the generic guys. Plus mobile just kind of reflects the fact that they'd have some sort of vehicles. And then the last one is replacing plus small with plus medium, which just means you just have a bigger gang.
Right. Under cruise, it says name and then type. What do I need to put in type?
Let me see.
So I think that's part of hustling.
Okay.
Is that where I put the job they're on, or?
Where'd you see it? Tell me again.
It is down at the bottom. If you turn on gangs and crews.
Gangs and crews under hustling.
Well, it's down at the bottom of the Roll20 sheet.
Oh, okay.
So it's part of that form.
Under tags.
It's under gangs and crews down at the bottom. It is beneath weapons, other equipment, etc. So you scroll all the way down just above the notes section. And it says on the right side, it'll say crews and then name, type, profit, disaster, image URL.
Oh, on your character sheet.
Yes.
All right.
So what goes in type?
Profit, disaster, image URL, type. I don't really know. Let's leave it blank unless it becomes evident what that's supposed to be. I don't know if is there a place where you're supposed to choose what type of what the gain type is. Only thing I can imagine is that means the size of the gain. Is there another spot for size of the gain? I don't see that.
This is what I was looking at because I was wondering if under type that's where you're supposed to put like what gig they're on when
right.
Because
that can change every time you do that, right? Like you don't have to have the gang do the same thing every time.
Well, there's the gang and then there's the crew, and they're two separate things.
I see.
So you start with 2 crew as a fixer, and then I took the backup
Which gives you the gang.
which,
Yeah.
which gives me not just the gang, but another crew. So there's
Right.
3 crew
Right.
plus the gang.
Right. So crew is sort of like a counting stat of how many crew you have. So you start with 2 crew, and then taking that backup move gives you an extra crew. So you have 3 crew,
Right.
and it adds an extra thing that your crew can do.
Yes.
So what that means is that when you hustle, that you'll be able to assign 3 different jobs instead of 2. And the type then, I guess that would capture, in addition to having crew, you also have a gain. That's what the backup move gives you. So that's what I would put. Looks like you already started putting it in. So I would just put in the tags that you end up with for your gang under type, or down in the notes. I would just capture all the tags you end up with, what the harm is that your gang has, how big they are, how much armor they have. So I'm not sure where to put it on your sheet, but I would get all that stuff down somewhere. The profit and disaster, we won't know that. Basically, those are where, when you actually use the crew, you're going to roll dice, and based on how you roll, your gang will gain profit or they'll gain disaster, or your crew will gain profit or disaster. But we won't know that. Actually, I know how this is. I think what they're doing is they're setting this up where you put in, the type is like what kind of job you're having each of your crew members do when the time comes to do it. And you can push that add button, by the way. There you go. Yep. So you would put in each of your 3 crew, and then when you assign them a job, you would type down under type what kind of job they're doing. Then we would roll the dice and kind of figure out what happened. I don't think you necessarily have to give each of them. You don't need to flesh them out much. I mean, when we play, we probably will give them names and, appearances and stuff. But for now, you don't need to fill that in too much. But yeah, it sounds like the moves you're taking, you're going to end up with 3 crew. And you don't need to figure out their type yet. But if you want to jump ahead, that's fine. Are you giving them names, or did they automatically give you the name when you created them?
Oh, I gave them names.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Anybody hung up on any part of this?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to step away for a minute. I'll be right back.
I was getting hung up trying to find a picture.
Does anybody have any strong feelings of where our sprawl is? The default is Los Angeles.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. I had a completely different image in mind, but that one is so cool. I have to use it. Now I know what my character looks like.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Guys all look pretty badass. I see Mac is all in caps. Is it like an acronym or he's just Mac?
It's an acronym, but he's never told anybody what it's for.
Sure. If I tell you, I have to kill you?
No, it's just he'd just rather not.
Sure. Lee Reza and Clive Harker. Does anybody feel done? And while the others finish up, I'll go to the cyberpunk stuff for you. If not, that's fine.
I think I'm pretty much done at this point.
Okay.
But I might have less than the other folks.
And and once as we go along, we're still working our way through this. If you change your mind on things, before we actually start the game, feel free to flip things around however you please. But Mac, your cyberware, you have synthetic nerves.
Yes.
You react so quickly that you can almost dodge bullets. If none of your enemies have synth nerves, take +1 forward. In situations where reaction time is critical, take +1 forward to act under pressure. Okay. So let me get the right sheet here. Session 0. All right, so we're on step 4 for you. How did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics? So there's a list there. You see which one of those fits how you got your cyberware.
What are you showing something?
Sessions. If you look at the Session 0 handout on Roll20, and you go down to step 4, choose cyberware. And you have synth nerves.
Okay.
And question. Go ahead.
I assumed that I thought it came as payment for a job. The person that put it in thought it was partial payment for a job.
Okay. So would that be career?
Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's career. Yeah.
Okay. So payment for a job, or I guess career means you kind of got it because you need it for your job. That might be not quite the right.
Maybe enthusiasm.
Did you wanted it? Yeah, that makes sense. We'll call it enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, how did you afford to have someone cut part of your body and replace it with electronics? You scrimped and saved to buy it yourself. So in other words, instead of this person saving you or paying you, you had them do this instead, or someone else paid for it, or you fucked someone over.
I fucked someone over. I mean,
Okay.
they paid for it. They assumed that this was I was going to be an ongoing operative for them. I figured this was I took the cyber gear. I did one job. I didn't want to do any more for them, and that's their problem.
Okay. Who was this person or organization that you fucked over? They're coming after you now.
Well, I figured I worked kind of as part of a tiger team for a series of bodegas in California. So it's the corporation that owns basically the version of 7-Elevens.
The Quick Mart or
Yeah.
They're the ones that are coming after you?
Yep.
Okay. So you're hunted by, is that what we called it? Quick Mart? I can't remember.
Yeah. So basically, the head of security for Quick Mart basically funded it, assuming I would be working for them. I chose not to continue the employment.
Okay. That's good. What's the name of this head of security?
Juan Gustavo.
Juan Gustavo. And that's good because I think what we'll say, you might end up doing jobs in our game for Quick Mart.
Yep.
So maybe it's a more personal. Maybe Juan Gustavo, took some hits in the corporation because he counted on you to do this or that, and you fucked him over. So maybe it's a very personal vendetta. Juan and his crew are going out of their way to put the screws on you.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. You've chosen your playbook moves. You've chosen your gear. Background and context is really just think about it at this point. You really won't establish that stuff until we start playing. You've got your look. You've got your name. You've got your directives. Let's look at those. Your directives, Mac. Financial, that one's pretty straightforward. Network. When you put your friend blank ahead of the mission, mark experience.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your intimate friend?
I guess maybe I have a headhunter that finds that's offered us jobs in the past.
Okay.
Could be somebody that Clive knows as well. Just
okay.
I'm thinking low level headhunter sort that farms out jobs.
Okay.
But I grew up with them.
So it's a friendship. The intimate relationship is a friendship.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the name of this good friend of yours?
Liam Caulfield.
Okay. And if we ever reach a point during the game where you're like looking for a name of a place or a person, I have random tables we can roll on if you guys like to do that kind of thing. There's a handout. Every actual play you watch of people playing a cyberpunk game, they talk about a resource called augmented reality. And that's what we can roll from the tables that you find in there. Really nice. Give you some nice cyberpunk names. Okay, so we got Juan Gustavo is out to get you, and your good friend Liam Caulfield is sort of a low-level headhunter / sounds like what we'd call a fixer in this game. or middleman kind of deal, and you also have financial as a directive. That one's pretty straightforward. That just means that if you're on a mission and you have a choice between doing the optimal thing or trying to get some extra money, you can get some experience if you choose to get the money. On your character sheet, you might want to add these names down and this information. I've got it written down too, but it makes it easier for us all to find it. So under directives, if you just put in Liam Caulfield under network, and is there a spot under cyberware for this?
I'm having trouble getting back into my character sheet.
Okay. I was looking at it. Try it again. Maybe we can't both be doing it at the same time. I'm out of it now. Can you open it?
No.
Well, my solution to all Roll20 problems is to exit Roll20 and come back in.
Okay.
I would try that. Is anybody else done with like stats and moves, that kind of stuff, and ready to do these same questions that I just did with Philip? Puckett or Bethany, are you still working?
I think I am done with everything else.
Okay. All right, Bethany. So what we're going to do, Lee Reza, is first we're going to do the questions, the cyberware questions. So if you go to that session 0 handout, step 4, choose cyberware. So the first question is, why did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics? And there's a menu there. For what is your cyberware? Neural interface with a remote control.
Yeah, it's the one that comes with the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I got it for career. Seems like the closest thing.
Yeah. If you want to be a hot shit driver, you have to get one of these.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And then the second question is, how did you pay for it, basically?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide exactly whether I'm owned or hunted here. It's got to be one of the two. I think I'm probably hunted. I think I got this because I was working for a totally legitimate shipping company. Definitely. They for sure were not sneaking drugs in. Yeah, and then like I did something they didn't like, or they did something I didn't like, and I had to leave in a hurry.
Did you steal the drugs? Did you deliver the drugs to a third party or something else?
I think I almost got caught, so I ditched the drugs.
Okay. The cops were on you?
Yeah.
So you ditched the drugs in the ocean or something?
Yep.
Okay.
They were somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico.
And this sounds like a cartel of some sort. You got a name for these guys?
That's a good question. I think it wasn't like a real cartel so much as like aspiring cartel, maybe. It was maybe just like one person in charge.
Okay.
It's written.
Let's see. We got D100. Let's see, what would you call this? We could do a gang. We could do a merc.
Seems more like a gang than anything else.
Or you can just make it up. You want to roll D100, see what we come up with, see if it sounds good? All right, so roll a D100. You know how to do that in Roll20? Okay, good. 40. We have the Chosen Kids.
All right. Excellent.
The Chosen Kids. And kids is spelled with a Z, of course.
Definitely want to be hunted by these guys.
The Chosen Kids. It says here they are chip hop fans. I'm not sure what that is. They're political, and they're a combat gang. Does that sound at all interesting to you?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Okay, so they have some sort of
Maybe,
political.
like, the drugs were just to get money to do what they really wanted to do.
Right. Maybe they're like
Or something.
looking to overthrow the government or something.
Yeah.
Okay. The Chosen Kids. All right, and then we've got the going down. You've done all this other stuff. Directives. What are your directives? Messed up. Lee. Here we go. Lee's directives are intimate when you put your friend blank ahead of the mission, mark experience, and rejected when your former membership in blank hinders the mission, mark experience. Any ideas about either of those?
I think the second one is probably the Chosen Kids.
Yeah. So you used to be in the Chosen Kids.
And I don't know if, like, people don't take me seriously because of it, or people are like, yeah, I don't know what their reputation is, but it's not good for me, whatever it is.
Okay, so maybe people knowing that you were in the Chosen Kids, a lot of people have a bad reaction to that. People respond badly to knowing. What are...
And they did try to overthrow something, and it didn't work.
Okay. They tried to overthrow something.
I need a friend, don't I?
Right.
Actually, should it be another PC?
No. You guys aren't... You're business associates. Maybe you've worked together, but you're not friendly at the beginning, at least.
Cool.
It can be one of the other NPCs that we've established if you want. You can grab one of Philip's guys if you want to create a sort of triangular setup. His good friend, what was it?
Liam Caulfield.
Liam Caulfield. Or it can be Juan Gustavo. Maybe the guy that's hunting Philip is your good friend. Or it can be someone completely different.
Since we've only got 2 NPCs, I'll throw another one in.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my friend Worm. I have no idea what her real name is, but like she just goes by Worm, and that's all. But I'm her best friend, and I still don't know what her real name is.
Okay. What's Worm's vocation or place in life?
That's an excellent question. I like somebody that we would come into contact with.
Maybe like a mechanic. That might be something useful for a driver, right?
I would come into, yeah, that would make sense. Or like a
maybe runs a backwoods, landing pad or something like that, or
it's a junkyard.
It's a junkyard where you can take your helicopter if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good place to hide your your equipment, but it's also a good place to get parts.
Mm-hmm. That totally fits. Yep. Okay. And I believe you're all set. Puckett, do you feel like you're ready for these questions?
Oh, indeed I am.
All righty. All right. So first of all, your cyberware, neural interface with data storage. And how, first question, step 4 under the session 0, how did you get part of your body cut out and replaced with electronics? And they have that list there.
It's basically a prosthetic. I was injured badly in military service, and that was basically put on as something like a neural overlay. So it doesn't just store stuff that I see, data that I get. It actually stores my memories.
Okay. So otherwise, your brain's been damaged somehow, and this compensates.
Yeah. Think Memento.
Yep. Okay.
Except instead of tattoos, I have a hard drive in my body.
Right.
Hence high capacity and high speed.
It's constantly feeding back to you, the long-term memories and short-term memories, just constantly trying to keep things active in your brain so they're not lost.
I think what happened is that it affected my ability to form short-term memories so that my memories from before the accident remain intact, which is why I know the people that I know, and everything since has to get stored somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Then the second question is, how did you afford to have this part of your body replaced with electronics?
Well, I'd love to say that the military covered it. Yeah. My former squad mates and I agreed to do a job. And we mostly did it. Mostly. There may have been a couple of things here and there. We may have caught a couple of corners here and there, and maybe we didn't get all the information that they wanted. And we certainly weren't going to do any more work for them. So they're a little annoyed.
So you're hunted?
That's one way to put it.
Okay. What's the name of this crew or group that's coming after you? Or we can roll the dice if you prefer.
The name is somewhat self-deprecating because they try to. It's almost like a psyop. They call themselves the Losers, and they are led by Rickard Ullman. I'll type that in chat for you. So,
okay.
I mean, it's not that they're incompetent, but this is the thing about an entire squad demobilizing. You kind of stay close. So, I basically have my squad mates watching my back, and they were good. And the Losers are good, but they're not as good.
So they're kind of another crew of operatives similar to what you've become?
Yeah, but they work mostly for
the military?
No, they work for Class Reinhardt.
Okay. So they're sort of they're a corporate operative team. Does that sound like captures what you're looking for?
Pretty much like a repo
corporate
team.
Right. What was the name of that corp again?
A Class Reinhardt.
Class Reinhardt.
Go back to it real quick just to double check and make sure.
Corporate Class Reinhardt operative team, the Losers. And they're after you in particular because you took something from them? I missed that part.
Class Reinhardt actually handled the implanting of the hard drive, and this is why I know so much about what they do, and why I know so much about how fine-tuned their cybernetics are, and why I know that it taps into the central nervous system. So, we like I said, we mostly did it.
And do they? So Class Reinhardt's not happy that you have this secret technology installed. I wonder if we lost Puckett.
Sorry about that. I cut out for a second.
Okay.
You said have the secret technology.
Yeah, I'm trying to clarify. So you're saying you have this secret tech
Well, it's not even
And
secret. It's just that this is stuff they would sell to pretty much anyone who could afford it.
okay.
It's just
And
expensive.
and again, though, why are they after you though? Like because you stole it, or because you didn't pay for it when you promised to, or you didn't do a job that you promised to do?
We
think I
didn't do
missed that
all of the
part.
job, and they got annoyed
Okay. All right.
because part of the job was return everything found at this address, and one of the things found at that address was a kid. And
Okay.
so we returned all the stuff that wasn't the kid.
Okay.
Turns out they were looking for the kid.
Okay. And what I'm going to say then, because again, similar to what we did with Philip, like we don't want the whole corporation to be hunting you, because it's quite likely you're going to end up doing jobs for them in the course of our game. So for whatever reason, Class Reinhardt said to these guys, to the losers, get him, or get that kid. We'll figure that out. But, it's your job. And they wash their hands of it. And they're just like, get them. Or maybe they blame them for it and they just chose to hide it or didn't bother to follow up. Or we'll have to maybe figure out why, when you meet someone from Class Reinhardt, why it is they don't, shoot you in the head or something. But for one of
they're executives, they don't get their hands dirty with things like that.
Right. So, and a lot of times in these corporations, they're so huge, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. So, we'll figure that out as we go. Okay, I get a good feel for that. Let's move on to your directives then. You have network. When your membership in the Greater Los Angeles Community Support Team hinders the mission, mark experience. Tell me about the Greater Los Angeles Community Support Team. What are they about?
It's largely a community organization, as it kind of suggests, but it's the sort of thing like when an earthquake hits, you distribute food, water, emergency medical services. You make sure people have shelter. At least that's the public face of it. The private face of it is, hey, we have people harassing others in the community. You need to take care of them. So it falls somewhere between a community aid group and something like a protection racket.
Okay.
Except it actually does provide protection. So
I'm writing down, it's sort of like a Red Cross, but has sort of a secret militant arm to it.
Yeah. If there's some people harassing community members, whether that's as simple as, an ex-boyfriend who won't leave his former partner alone, to a crew that's coming in and knocking over businesses in the area. We're problem solvers.
Right. Okay. And protective, when you put your responsibility to Ghost Echo ahead of the mission, mark experience. Tell me about Ghost Echo.
That's the gang. That's my former squad.
Okay.
We demobilized and they saved my life. They got me out of an active combat zone. They agreed to take on that job to get me patched up, and I will pretty much shoot anything in the head to keep them safe.
Okay.
Whether that's literally or metaphorically.
Okay. Those all sound good. One thing, and I'm not saying that any of the ones, this came to the top of my head, is as you're visualizing your directives, one thing you might want to think about is when I'm in a mission, and you're in the moment, what is it that I would do that might earn me that XP? How would I hinder the mission, to reach the, to mark my my directive to get that XP? So I'll leave that to you guys to start to think about, because when you play, that's sometimes that mental gymnastics can be hard to find. Otherwise, I think we are all set on those. Now, anybody still filling in anything or have any questions about any of the character generation stuff? All right. So what we're going to do, the last step is step 9. This is links. This establishes how bonded you are to each other. a lot in this game, when you roll to help people, you're going to roll with links. So this is how we figure out how well linked you are to each other. What we do is we go around the table, and the active person will describe an operation that they, a job they did for a particular corporation. So you'll pick a corporation, you'll say, this is the job I did for X. Tell us about the job, and put yourself in a real central, you're the key cog in this mission. Put yourself, describe yourself really being the key element in this mission. Then we'll go around the table and we'll see if anybody else felt like they were in that mission. If you say, yeah, I was, like, so we're going to go with Philip, and then Puckett will say, yeah, I was in that mission, and you'll describe what you did on that mission. You'll add a link to Philip or to Mac, and I will kick up the clock one step. So every person that says they were on that mission will kick up the clock, the corporate clock. So there's a sort of a give and take. Being involved in these missions will earn you links with each other, but it'll also kick up the corporate clocks. And depending on how we do it, certain corporations might be, totally, low on the clock or high. In general, if a clock gets to 1800, which I guess is two pi pieces, then it means that they know of you. If they get to 2100, then they're actively hunting for you. So keep that in mind. So let's give it a shot. So Phil, Mac, you pick a corporation that you did a job for and tell me about it. Tell me what you did on this job.
Well, I think I'm going to go back to the Quick Mart job. And what Quick Mart did was they had an item placed in one of their stores, and they opened up a job to a number of different crews or individuals with the idea that somebody was going to find that item, and the one person that brought it back actually got the money for the job. And I went in, I was the one that got it, but there are a number of other people and crews that were involved in the competition for it.
Okay. And I'm trying to remember your names. Clive, were you on that mission?
Quick question. Is there a limit to the number of links we can have?
Well, we're going to go around the table once. So since you're going to have two, I think the highest you can get in the beginning is 2. As we play the game, after a mission, you might get another link with somebody. Okay. If it gets up to 4, then you'll describe how you guys get to know each other really well, and then it'll go back to 0. So the highest links you'll ever have is 3.
Okay.
But in the beginning, because we have 3 players, I think if I understand the math, I think the most you're going to end up with is 2.
I think I had a tangential role in it by providing some information.
Could have been one of your crews. Could have been all your crews. Could have been the losers and your guys.
The losers have their hands in a lot of things. Was this a smash and grab job, or was this something?
No, what it was basically a corporation said, in one of our locations, there's some information out there. Track it down. The first person to bring this back wins. Basically, they set up a scavenger hunt as almost like a job interview. And you'd have to figure out where it was, go into the location, bypass their security, get it, and bring it back out.
Yeah, actually, I think you took me along as a virtual hard drive on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, with the state of my memory, I can understand why I didn't recall it that clearly, because if I remember right, there was a lot of data that you dumped on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Clive, you will add a link with Mac, and Mac, you will not add anything. And I will kick up the clock for Quickway by 1. Choose a side. 1. Choose. Bam. All right. So Quickway now has 1 pie piece filled. Lee, were you on this job? with Philip?
No, I don't think I was.
Okay. That's it for that. Then we go to Clive. Tell us about a job. Pick a corp that you did a job for. Tell us about the job and put yourself in a central role.
Epic wanted information from Tyrell, and they didn't. They were non-specific as to how the information was to be acquired, and they weren't asking any questions about the provenance of it. So Ghost Echo and I went in and tried to get as much information on anything that we could find that would benefit Epic in their medical research technology division.
Okay. And Lee, were you on this job?
Yeah, I think I was. What would I have done on this job? Gathering.
We just need a getaway driver.
Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I was involved except for that.
Well, didn't you have that drone doing Overwatch?
I don't actually have any drones.
Oh, okay.
See, that would make sense if I had, but I do not at the moment. That's an advance.
Again, memory.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. Must have been someone else.
So, Lee, you will add a link with Clive, and we then go to Mac. Were you on this job?
Sort of. I was on the job, but Epoch brought potentially myself and Liam in to help them identify who it was that robbed them. So we were on the job, but we were on the other side of the job.
Okay. So what I'll do in that case then is I will increase Tyrell and I'll forget the class run hired GmbH. I'll increase both their clocks by 1. And Mac, you will add a link with Clive.
Okay.
And I think that is it for session 0. Yes. So we are overdue. Let's take a good. Go ahead.
Did Lee already?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I forgot. Lee, tell us a job. Let me hold on before I forget. Let me get these clocks sorted. Okay, Lee, tell us about a job. Pick a corp that you did a job for. Tell us what you did. Put yourself in a central role.
Okay. I did a job for. I mean. I think industrial espionage probably is the best term for it. For Klaus Reinhardt.
Okay.
You know what? Tyrell has, cyber gear and body mods, and they came out with some, new cool stuff. And Klaus Reinhardt wanted some of that stuff to reverse engineer.
And you helped get it out of there?
Yes. Yeah. I think I got a job, real low level, just unloading trucks, and that's a real convenient place to take stuff from, and so that's it went pretty easily, or at least seemed to.
Okay. And Mac, were you on this job?
Sure. I think while Lee is got the driver and was working on the loading dock, maybe somebody had to actually go in, grab it, and pass it off to her on the loading dock.
Sure.
Yeah.
And give yourself a link with Lee and Clive. Were you on this job?
I'm sorry. What are Lee's pronouns? Sorry, Mac is he him. I want to make sure.
Oh, that is a good question. Hold on, I will do my usual roll for it.
God, I love this system that you came up with, Bethany.
Him.
He,
Yeah.
him? All right.
Wait, you got a straight answer once?
I did. Yes.
Not as complicated?
It's not complicated.
Lee Reza is he, him. And while we're talking about pronouns, what about Clive?
He, him.
Maybe he, him. Okay. So you guys are all he, hims. Okay. Where was I? Mac, were you on this? Oh, you said you were, and I marked it down. So then we go to Clive. Were you on this job?
Absolutely. Somebody needed to be smooth talking the loading dock operator to keep their attention while the stuff was getting loaded onto the truck to make sure they didn't notice that it was gone until it's too late.
Okay. And that is it for that. So that leaves us with all the clocks real low, except for Class Reinhardt. They are at 15, 18, 21, 2200. So they are, I think that means they're actively looking for you guys. So we will bring that into play, I'm sure, when we get into some missions. So like I said, we're well overdue taking a break. Let's take a good 10-minute break. Let me think a little bit of what we've all created here. We're going to jump into a little bit of a mission, get as far as we can today. We won't get anywhere near finishing it, but that's okay. So I will see you guys in 10 minutes at 10:18 on my clock.
Sounds good.
All right. Puckett, are you there?
Yep. I always put something in chat when I get back.
Okay. I have a bad habit of not looking at chat much. All right. Let's go around the table. Just give me the one paragraph version of your character, what they look like, a little bit what they're like, little blurb on their background if you got any ideas, and just to kind of set the table for who you are. Again, we'll start with Mac.
Okay. Mac, from a physical description, Mac is tall, thin, has a propensity for wearing all black clothing, and one of the things that's pretty much a staple for him is he kind of wears an old style derby hat. The more you work with him, the more you notice that he's got all sorts of tools, materials, knives, firearms, guns, somewhere all stashed all around his body. He is he apparently comes from money because he knows nice things. He knows high quality items, and he's a person that gets in places, gets things, and gets back out.
Okay. Clive, Puckett, tell us about Clive.
He's a veteran, ex-military, really badly injured in a really unusual way due to an explosion, and basically had some pretty significant parts of his central nervous system rewired. One of the things that you notice about him is that he does not look well. He has the face of a predator and the memory of an easily distracted cat. And his skin is usually an unhealthy, almost gray tone. He doesn't look like somebody who is long for the world.
And his the damage he suffered, is it real visible in the cybernetics? Is it pretty obvious?
No, almost all of it hit his back. I mean, if he took off his shirt, and you saw his back and his neck, it'd be visible. But
Okay.
otherwise, this is one of the reasons why I have long hair, because it covers the back of my neck, and the rest of it I cover with clothes. So unless you know, it's not something you see.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've developed certain coping mechanisms, and this storage is part of it. It's one of the reasons why I want high-speed access to it, because that way I can kind of filter through the system and I can associate a name with a face pretty darn quickly. There's usually a very slight hiccup. Like, when you're talking to somebody, it's like, Steve, I haven't seen you in forever. It's always like, Steve, haven't seen you in forever. So there's like another fraction of a second or so,
Right.
just enough that people can kind of pick up that something is just the tiniest bit off. But if you didn't have the high speed accent memory, it'd be a lot more obvious.
Right. Okay. And let's hear about Lee.
Yeah. So, Lee is a former member of a drug gang with revolutionary aspirations, and he has a helicopter. It's a former like medical helicopter called Mama. See, I don't know. He's kind of like androgynous and punkish looking. Looks younger than he is, like by quite a bit. That's not augmentation. It's just like it just happens, or it's not intentional. In fact, I think he'd probably like to look older so people would take him more seriously. He has artificial eyes because where he lived as a kid had some really interesting chemicals in the water, and quite a few of the people born around that time were born with no eyes, or just eyes that we're never going to see. So there are actually quite a few people from his neighborhood or town around his age that are walking around with artificial eyes, and and they were all broke, so they're not good artificial eyes. They don't look like real eyes, which is why he wears goggles at all times.
Okay. I picture Lee kind of coming from like the slums or low class area.
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't think he's from this wherever we decided our
Los Angeles, the greater Los Angeles sprawl.
Yeah, I don't think he's from here. I think, but maybe Texas or somewhere.
Okay. The Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston sprawl.
Yep.
Okay.
The part of it that isn't underwater anyway.
Right. Okay, so let me lay out, I know I've been kind of laying out bits and pieces of the idea of the setting, but let me say a few things to kind of set the stage. So it's the year 2020, alternate history 2020. And this is the year after the events of the first Blade Runner movie. So there were several incidents where Nexus 6 replicants somehow got back to Earth, did some violent things. The head of the Tyrell Corporation was killed by one of these Nexus 6 replicants. And the Los Angeles Police Department, especially the Blade Runner units, are continuing to try to restore stability to this day. But most of these replicants are known to have probably been either retired or have died because they had that short lifespan, that only 4-year lifespan. So the Tyrell Corporation, out of desperation, really went ahead and released the Nexus 8 replicants about 6 months ago. These replicants were supposed to be more compliant and not to be dangerous at all to people. And they haven't been. However, there already was a lot of gangs and groups and militant groups that have taken up arms against these replicants, and there has been this growing warfare, I guess, pursuit of and battles between these gangs and replicants that have kind of gone underground throughout the Sprawl. The police are trying to keep it together, and it hasn't really blossomed, or it hasn't really rolled over into the common person's life, including you guys. You probably haven't had direct contact with this issue going on and developing. As I mentioned, the climate change that has been happening over years has gotten to a point of collapse. People are surviving on processed foods, synthetic foods, a lot of it created by Quick Marts, or our other Epic. I think we said that they had food creation, food processing was one of their specialties. So a lot of the Zaibatsus, the major corporations, are creating foods in vats, basically, or massive greenhouses, and real animals, real plants are all but unknown to people. The sprawl of Los Angeles is almost constantly under smog and clouds. There's long stretches where it rains constantly. The Sprawl is a central area of, high-tech, extremely expensive, very rich people living in complete luxury. But down on the street level and outside of the relatively small central downtown, there's increasing amounts of desperation and poverty, starvation. Lots, people have very little health care. Lots, the air and the environment and the food is increasingly toxic. And the farther you get out into the Sprawl, the more desperate and horrible it is. If you get to the edge, the outer 2/3 of the Sprawl is long stretches of rundown, poorly, intermittent electricity, intermittent water supply. It's a Wild West outside of that central area. You guys we are going to start. I think what we need to do first is, Clive, you have your move hustling. So what you are going to do, you do your hustle move in between missions. So we're going to take care of that first.
All right.
So what you do is, I think you have to establish the 3 jobs that you're
already done.
Cool.
Jacinda's on protection, Carl is on surveillance, and Felix is brokering deals.
All right. Just let me read it real quick. You have a small network, blah, blah, blah. All right. You are going to roll with Edge.
Okay. And then I know there's a way to set it up so that you can roll in.
On your character sheet, right next to Edge, there's like a little 20-sided die in a box. If you click on that 20-sided die, it'll ask you for any modifiers. I don't think you have any. Keep that at 0 and then push submit, and it'll kick it right out to our chat.
All righty. So let's see. Do I need to put in the input value of? Okay, forward. Got it. All right, there's a hit.
All right. 7. I believe, if I remember correctly, it means that one of the jobs goes bad. Yeah. One of them is a disaster, and you profit from the rest. So you tell me which of the 3 jobs is a disaster. We have protection, surveillance, and brokering deals.
Yeah. And then protection. What the heck does that add?
If it's a disaster, your associates have pissed off the wrong people. If it's protection, your associates have your back. So what that would mean is that they'll be available to use during the mission.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they pissed off the wrong people.
Okay.
This is just kind of what happens sometimes.
Okay. So we'll take care of that. And then you get some, what do you get from the other two?
Okay. So what is a disaster profit from the rest? I gain intel from surveillance, and I gain 1 cred from brokering the deal.
Okay. So give yourself a cred. And this is a good time to talk about intel and gear. So if we go back to the clock page, there is little bluish looking circle with a 0 in it right now, and it says intel, and another one says gear. What those are sort of abstract resources that you use during a mission. And what happens is you gather up intel and gear through various things, usually during the legwork phase. And intel represents, you could be like, you don't have to plan everything out. You can use intel to sort of like backload and say, well, I checked out the blueprints of this high rise before we got here, so I remember where this is. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use a point of intel, and it'll give you a +1 on your roll if you can come up with a reason that you would have some knowledge that would help you. Gear doesn't give you any additions to rolls, but you can just kind of create something that would make sense that you would have. So let's say a couple heavies take you prisoner, and they're leading you to jail. And I say, what do you want to do? And you say, well, I pull out that knockout grenade that I put in my pocket. And you didn't really have a knockout grenade, but you just burned a gear to create a knockout grenade. And as long as you can reasonably explain why you might have that, you can do it. So intel and gear are resources that you try to accumulate in the legwork phase. So Clive just got himself a point of intel. So I'm going to increase that clock by 1. Okay. And they pissed off the wrong people. So this is your gang. Apparently the named guy, they must be like the leader of your gang. What was his name again?
Well, so Jake Logan is the leader of Ghost Echo, but in terms of the crew, this is Jacinda Black, who's on protection.
I see.
And she's not delicate about such things.
Okay, I gotcha. So I think you sent them to the protection says they messed up the wrong people. And what were your other 2 jobs that you just did? What are the names of them?
Surveillance and brokering deals.
Brokering deals. Okay, so I think what happened is that you were going to meet someone in sort of the edge of the sprawl, and the Ghost Echo were with you to provide protection because it's very dangerous out there. And you were going to meet someone to broker a deal, and you, without knowing it, you crossed into someone's turf, and there was a pretty rough fight. Nobody got killed, but most of your Ghost Echo crew got beat up pretty badly. And what I'm going to do then is this gang, they eventually fled and you and Ghost Echo returned, but I think that they've got a chip on their shoulder for you now. So there's going to be a gang that I'm going to create what's called a threat. And let me put that on the table. So over on the right side of the screen, I added a new clock. And this is we're going to give them a name. Clive, what do you want to, what's this gang name and this edge of the sprawl gang? Or we can roll dice and percentage dice to see who it is.
Probably Children of the Dust. We've had a
Children
few
of this. Sure.
We've probably had a few runs. We've had a few run-ins with them before.
Yeah. All right, let me put them in there. Children of the Dust. I'll clean it up a little bit between sessions, but I'll get it in there for now. Children of the Dust. And we gave them, we started a clock, and we'll put them up a pie piece to 1500. Okay, so that took care of that. So then we go into the next stage. It's called Get the Job. Which one of you guys is probably the talker of the group, would you say? Who do you guys send to make deals, to get jobs?
I'm figuring it's me because of the contacts and the fixed people.
Right.
Now, there's a difference. Who's the talker and who's the bullshitter?
Right.
Because I bet he's the talker, and I bet Mac's the bullshitter.
It's true. In mechanical terms, what we're about to do is called Get the Job. So the stat that will be used, this is under Basic Moves 2, Get the Job uses edge. So who's the edgiest of the group is probably another way of looking at it.
Mac's got 2 edge.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. Mac, you're in downtown area of the Sprawl. It's, who knows whether it's nighttime or daytime. It's dark. It's raining. Everyone, a multicultural group of people is moving along, speaking 100 different languages. You're getting jostled. You're moving through the street. You're here to do or get something. What are you here to do?
I hear that there is basically a fencing operation of high-end luxury goods.
Okay.
So basically, somebody had an estate sale, which means they robbed an estate, and now they're selling pieces of art, things like that.
You're going down the street. There's like a noodle bar to the side. There's like a cyberware shop, black market cyberware shop on the other side of the street. You're dodging people as best you can because there's probably 20 different pickpockets moving through here. And one of the commonly seen automated Zeppelins goes flying over, classic Blade Runner Zeppelins. And there's a loud voice that says, a new life awaits you in the off-world colonies, a chance to begin a new life, a land of opportunity and adventure. And you hear the rev of a motorcycle, and coming down the street is a courier. And he's dodging expertly, zigging and zagging through this place with a street motorcycle, and he zips up to you, and he brakes to a stop, and he pulls out, all in one motion, he pulls out this retinal scanner, pops it up to your eye, it beeps and it glows green, He puts it. He reaches into a bag and flips you this black phone,
Mhm.
and you catch it, and he's gone. He zips on out of here, and you see the phone is blinking red. Someone's trying to call you.
I'll answer. I go, apparently this is Mac's phone.
You see, it's a video phone, and you see there's a figure, and they're backlit so that their features, you can't see them clearly, and they speak, but their voice is clearly going through some sort of process, so it sounds real mechanical and robotic,
Mhm.
to mask it. And the person is like, Mac, right? Look, I've got a job. It's a rush job. I'll pay you really well.
Mhm.
Get a team together. We need somebody to get out to the solar farm, way out in the waste. You got to get out there ASAP. Last night, there was a shootout between the police
Mhm.
and some thugs. All right. And we need you to get out there, and you got to secure that evidence, and you've got to destroy any digital recordings that the cops make. That evidence can't get back into the city. So any physical evidence, you need to get it, secure it,
Okay.
get it somewhere that we can get it, and anything digital, you've got to destroy it. Now the cops are already there locking it down. They haven't sent out the forensics team yet. You've got a little bit of time to get yourself together. But
So what you're saying is they've collected all the electronic information, storing it under a central lock and key, waiting for people to be dispatched to come help them. But right now, it's basically just being kept in a lockbox by the security forces.
nope, not quite. All the cops, they go slow. All they got out there now is a couple patrol units locking down the site. The forensics team is on the way. It's going to take them a while to record and track everything and take all the 9 million pictures. So you got a little bit of time, but they're going to be out there, and I need you to get, like I said, whether it's there on the way back, hell, I don't care, break into the goddamn police station, whatever you need to do, get that evidence, destroy anything digital. You know how the cops work. They're not going to transmit anything from way out there back into the city. There's 50,000 hackers along the way. They're not going to give anybody a chance to get at their info. So they're going to record it and carry it back with them. They'll probably not upload it into the matrix until the next day.
Okay, give me. You've got coordinates.
Yeah, it's a solar farm. The huge thing. Way out.
The other question is, we know one group of thugs were the cops. Who are the other group of thugs?
He kind of pauses, and I think what we'll do at this point. Do you take the job?
Well, I'd like to find out who the group of thugs are before I'm leaning.
Right. I think what we'll do is we'll roll the dice, because based on the let me remember. Let me double check. Getting paid, provides useful information, provides useful assets, pays well. I think based on your role, we'll find out whether he answers that question or not. He or she answers that question.
Okay.
All right. So at first he just pauses. Let's roll and let's see what kind of conditions you can get out of it. So forget the job. You're going to roll with edge.
Okay. 9.
Okay. So on a partial hit, I think you get one of the things. Yeah. Choose one from the list. So this is under Basic Moves 2, the handout. And the list has the employer provides useful information, which will give you intel. And I probably will answer your question. The employer provides useful assets. the job pays well, which means you'll get more creds for the job than you would usually. The meeting doesn't attract attention, and the employer is identifiable. Which one of those do you
That's
want?
easy. The job pays well.
Okay. So he says, you don't need to know that. All you need to know is I'm going to have a case full of money for you guys once we trade off the evidence that you're going to get for us. That's all you need to know, right?
What do you consider evidence? Is it what the cops consider evidence, or is there a specific item that you consider evidence?
Anything they take from there. Pictures, bodies, weapons, vehicles, whatever they pull out of there.
Okay.
You either you secure it, and if you can't secure it, destroy it.
Okay. That's reasonable.
Click, and it goes dark. Oh, he says, I'll get the job done. We'll know when it's done. I'll contact you.
Nothing out of that is abnormal, right? That's just a normal.
Every time you get a job, it's always weird. Whether the people are weird, the situation's weird, they're super secret, they're scary. You know, none of them are ever pleasant.
Okay.
A lot of times you don't know who you're working for, who you pay, who pays you, who you're working against.
I guess I'll start putting together a crew. I think it's way out there, so we probably need a driver. And since we're dealing with what's going on in an environment like that, we probably need somebody that's got their ear to the ground. Maybe a fixer.
Sure. So you guys called. You meet up in a Greasy Spoon, a ramen bar. How do you get together, and what's the scene look like where the three of you get together? Clive, what's that look like?
I think we're probably getting together at Lee's hangar. I mean, if it's a
Out
quick
at the,
turnaround job, we want to be at the helicopter so we can get out there and get going.
Sure. Out at the junkyard.
Yeah, yep. The hangar's
And
just a tarp.
Right. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to move into, hold on. Get the job. Okay. So let me first, as I said, on the clock screen, there's a spot for, let me zip over there. There's a spot for mission directives. So let me expose those for you. So this job, like we said, so you've accepted the mission now. You all get a point of experience. So go ahead and mark that down on your character sheet. And as they described, when you secure the evidence from the crime scene, mark experience. When you destroy the digital and physical records related to the crime scene, mark experience. When the mission ends, mark experience. And if no police were killed, you mark experience. You all know from your background and your other missions, killing police is bad. The police allow a lot to go. They're too busy. They've got other things to worry about. But if you kill a cop, they react very badly to that. They actually get motivated to track down and find whoever's responsible for that. So it's a good idea to not if you can help it. So you meet out at the hangar / junkyard, and the next thing you do is each of you has to commit a certain amount of cred. Now, cred in this game is it's an abstract representation more of your reputation than it is of money. So the more cred you risk, the more you'll get paid. So Mac chose pay well. So this job pays 3 times the cred that you commit. So you can commit either 1, 2, or 3 cred. You'll immediately remove that cred from your character sheet. And you, at the end of the mission, if everything goes smooth, your plan, as it is right now, you'd get paid 3 times as much as you commit. Now, the only wrinkle in this is if you commit 3 points of cred, then you're really putting yourself out there, and it creates noise. So I will immediately increase either the legwork or the action clock. So let's go around the table and figure out how many points of cred you each want to commit. Mac, how many points of cred do you want to put on this job?
3.
All right. And Clive, how many points of cred do you want to commit to this job?
Before I answer, does it increase the clock 1 tick every time somebody says 3, or just once for 3?
Every time. The first time someone does it, it'll advance the action clock. No, yes. So Max saying 3 has increased the action clock by 1. If you said 3, it increased the legwork clock. And then if Lee said 3, that would increase the action clock again.
What do you think, Lee? Do you want that much exposure?
Probably not from all 3 of us.
All right. I'll just throw in
one
2.
click on each is good, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll take 3 then.
Okay.
And so that moves the legwork clock up 1?
That's right.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep. All right. So 3, 2, and 3. All right. Now, certain classes have start of mission moves. There's just things you do at a start of a mission. I don't think any of you guys do. Maybe the fixer does. I don't think he does, or they do. Puckett, does the fixer have a start of mission move?
Not that I'm aware of. It's
No.
mostly a lot of declaring contacts.
Right. Okay, so then we move immediately into the legwork phase. Now, the legwork phase is sort of like you guys getting ready for the job. Now, you can just jump in the helicopter and fly out to the site. What I'm going to say is that at the point that you actually commit to trying to attack, infiltrate, whatever, the crime scene, when you get to the crime scene and actually engage in trying to do your job, we will go into the action phase. So you do have some time, as your contact kind of explained, to sort of do other things. So there you can talk to a contact, which would be each of you can create a contact once per mission and ask them a question or ask them for equipment, buy things from them, get cyberware. There's all you can create a contact, that you can kind of cover anything. Any of you could try to infiltrate some other facility as sort of a preparation to get information or gear or to find out something. Any of you could get on a computer and look things up. That's the research move. I mean, you look at the basic moves. There's any move that sort of like gives you intel or gear or all things that you might consider doing before you go. And remember, the more intel and gear you have, the more you learn beforehand, the better. However, as you're going through the legwork phase, you might create noise, you might miss some rolls, and clocks will start to increase. And as the legwork clock increase, the opposition will start to get a better idea that you're active and trying to get ready for this job, and they might that might eventually boost up the action clock. Another thing to consider is that when you go to get paid, you don't roll with a stat, you roll with the number of legwork clock pie pieces that haven't been filled up to actually I don't know if there is a maximum. So like right now, if you just let's just go to the job and do it, we'll wing it. If you succeeded and you went and got paid, you would roll plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's 5 pieces of the legwork clock that haven't been filled. So there's sort of a give and take in the legwork phase. You can get a lot out of it, but you might create some noise and you might get paid less at the end, or you have less of a chance of getting a really good situation when you time to get paid. So let's have a little scene with the three of you. And I think this will probably be it. And then, we'll pick up with the real legwork phase. But the three of you are there standing beside the helicopter and kicking around. What is it you're planning to do? Maybe we'll start with Mac. Tell them what you learned about the job and what you're supposed to do, and kind of talk it out, and let's see what your characters do.
I don't know. I don't think we have many specifics. I'm ready to just go out there and just wing it.
There's got to be some gossip, some word on the street about what happened out there. If I can hit my contacts and see if we can get some more information.
Sure.
I mean, you don't have a firefight like that without anybody knowing what the hell happened.
Yeah, there's usually a callback or something, or then again, they usually ask for backup. Normally, when a firefight like that ends, there's normally 50 cops. People don't usually discharge firearms and then have the same number of officers, unless
maybe they went rogue. Maybe they were in business for themselves.
Could be.
Maybe the reason this is quiet is because the cops are trying to keep it hush-hush because they don't want to have a worse rep than they already do. Or maybe it's because there's something out there for one of these corps that's even more valuable than what we can get paid.
If you could at least know who the other group was.
Yeah.
There's got to be something about that. You're right.
And if we know who they were shooting, gives us a whole lot more to go on.
Yeah.
Who do you think might know that?
I got people.
I know you got people. So.
Come on, man. I can't give away my sources. You know that.
Yeah. So if you want to give your people a call.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll have my people call some people. And then we can talk to some of your people. And I'm just grinning like an idiot at this.
I pretty much am my people.
I know, man. It's all good.
Okay. So that kind of sets the stage. It sounds like there's going to be a little bit of talking to people before you jump in the helicopter or however it is you plan to get out there. So over the week, if you find yourself thinking about any of this, think about what your character might do. Like, again, legwork phase is the time to talk to people. You can even, like I said, you can even do like little missions kind of on the side, like to figure things out, and buying things, selling things, asking people questions, research, getting, into a computer, hacking somewhere, whatever. I mean, you kind of make it up and think a little bit about what your character might do. And then also think about, sounds like we're going to quickly move into the action phase as it is right now. So think about how it is you're going to go about. I'll, of course, describe the site for you, better for you guys, but think a little bit of what you're going to do or what your plan is to acquire this stuff. But I think that's it. So, I'm sorry we didn't get a lot of play today. Got bogged down with a lot of character creation and whatnot, but we're off to a good start. So hopefully next week there'll be a fourth player. But what I'm going to try to do, whoever it attends, hopefully it's Blaze. He's signed up right now. I'll check in with him this week and see where he's at. But hopefully I'll be able to get in touch with him before we get playing, so you guys don't have to sit around for an hour while he creates his character and stuff. But stay tuned. But anyways, thanks for session 1. Before I forget, is anyone not comfortable putting it on YouTube?
Go for it.
Go right ahead.
All right, great. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I will see you next Tuesday.
All right. Thank you for running it. And
Yep.
Yeah.
next week.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
See you guys.